And we are live. And I'm going to start getting some Gliptol going on some parts we just picked up from Sandblast. Some of these larger ones I've been doing at the Sandblast shop, if you will. Right now I'm working on the clutch driver right here. So stir the paint up a little bit. Ben's in the house. How we doing, Ben? Lee is here. Just stirring up some of the last bit of the Gliptol I have. Dave's in the house. Dave's working on our shaft and bushings, the reverse idler shaft and the bushings for inside the reverse idler gear. I think he's done with the shaft. He's just working on the bushings now. But he's also working on putting together a case D. The little tractor shed's here. He had to start a new channel. I guess he got banned on his Chrome Pipe Kid channel for a cold start video, which doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. It's part of the YouTube experience. Getting in trouble for things. So Hyatt is here. If things go to plan, we'll finish the bushings in the gear tomorrow. Perfect. I just pulled the case out into the driveway. Not the tractor, the case tractor, the rear case for the Model D. And I've got it soaking overnight with a bunch of oven cleaner to try and clean out most of the grease in the rear so we can send that off to Sandblast so that we can get it back here and put Gliptol on it and start putting it back together. So I like how Squatch affectionately calls this stuff Frank's Red Hot, because that's usually what it ends up being once you start getting into these cans of Gliptol. It just, you start putting it on everything. It looks good. It seals it. You know, why not? It goes a long way too. So let's see, who am I missing here? What happened to the M? The M is going away. So that's the way it goes. Sometimes in order to make dreams happen, you sometimes have to sacrifice some things. There'll be an update video on that, so don't worry too much about the M. There'll be an update video on that. But hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Logan's here. Hamilton Family Antique Tractors is in the house. Welcome, welcome. Glad you could make it. I'm just working on Gliptol with the clutch driver here. We've got some larger pieces back from Sandblast, so we are going to get everything, try to get a lot of it coated. I won't get it all coated tonight, but some of them, you know, if I can get some done, it's a step in the right direction. So what's everybody up to lately? A lot of big things going on here at Rusty Nuts Ranch. We got my daughter's first tractor we picked up from John. I don't know if John's going to tune into this live stream or not tonight, but him and his wife made us an offer we couldn't refuse for her first tractor. So we were happy to take them up on that offer. Let's see. What do we got here? Going to pick up my injectors for the Case 800 tomorrow. They are finally rebuilt for the second time. Yeah, I know you've had some trouble with that thing. But sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times to get things right. You know, if you've watched my channel, you'll know that. Thought I had missed you. I'm packing for Le Sueur. We will probably be going to Le Sueur sometime this weekend. I'm just not 100% sure what day yet. So tomorrow would be great, but I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. So Kenny is single-handedly keeping Gliptol in business. Yeah, no kidding, right? No, this is still the can from the Farm All H. This is the first can of Gliptol I ever bought. So this stuff goes a long way if you use it appropriately. My B. Alice was acting up. Turns out it was a little out of time and carb was not adjusted right. It happens. It happens. The Cub, I'm still having issues with the carburetor, so I think there's something either hanging up on the needle and seat or we got a bad float. Something is not right, so we'll get that figured out. Not a big issue. It runs great when it's running, so it'll run good for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then I think the float hangs up, and that's where it kind of ends. So let's see, got me a new toy, a 59 Case 811B gasser. Came with a 1-row picker and a disc, although the disc is junk. Well, if it casts a shadow, it can be fixed or restored. Did you not see what I started with on the Model D? The parts tractor was a whole tractor, and that was worse off than the parts, the rear section of the D that I picked up from Brian in Nebraska. I'm hoping to get my newly rebuilt magneto put back on my 1220 cross motor. A 1220 cross motor. Oh man, you're highfalutin. That's a nice unit. Cross motors are really cool tractors. Almost done with one side of the clutch driver here. Just got a little bit more over here. It's a tedious process, this Gliptol, but sure does make things look nice. There's one side of the clutch driver. But we got to wait to do the other side because I can't lean that up on anything the way it sits. So, oh man, all we got left are big pieces. Let's see here. What do we want to do? Bob is in the house. Hold on. Let me get caught up here. Waiting to put duals on the B. Alice. Did the whole motor and her end with Gliptol on my M and didn't even use a full quart. Yes, Bob. We're building a pole barn. Finally. Rudy's in the house. Big Mo 500 backhoe returned to life here. What goes on your body goes in your body. Paint is tough on me anymore. I don't know what that means. You want me to wear a respirator? I know I should be wearing a respirator, but we're in a pretty open air environment. So, what was Ree's reaction when you showed her the cub? I've got it on video. I haven't posted it yet, but it wasn't as typical toddler response, kind of not understanding what it was at first, and then the excitement came later. So, family friend was cleaning up an old farm south of the Twin Cities, or as I like to say, the Plains. And I bought it off him for $2.50 and a case of beer. That's a good deal. Setup day at Le Sueur. Beautiful day tomorrow. Forecast is rain. Yeah, today was great. Too bad it couldn't have been tomorrow. That was like this. I don't know if this is going to break my table or not. Oh. I need a bigger brush. This is, yeah, I need a bigger brush. Let's go ahead and so this is the clutch pulley, if you guys are wondering what I have on the bench. Okay, what do we got here? Diesel truck mechanic. Yes, I've been staying busy. I'm always busy. Ben says he's getting the rain that we're going to get tomorrow. Great. Why don't you keep it, Ben? We don't need it this weekend. We'll take it next weekend. I should probably just get the bigger brush. Okay. It does run, and it's surprisingly in good shape for spending 20 years inside a halfway collapsed barn. There was also a case 1030 row crop down there, but someone got that before I could. Well, sometimes that happens. It's always some type of bad weather at Le Sueur. Yeah, sometimes you get all 3 or 4 different types of precipitation in one day. Snow, rain, sunshine, hail. We've had all different types of precipitation down there. Some of the stuff is pretty rough cast, so you got to just dab it in. It's about the only way you can do it. See, this is when most of my tractor stuff gets done on my days off after I put Raylan to bed. And I finally get a moment to work on stuff. I try not to, although I want her to help me, to learn about it, I try not to force this stuff on her and make her go out into the garage with me and do stuff she doesn't want to do, because the bottom line is just spending time with Dad. That's how I look at it. If she doesn't want to do it, then we don't have to do it. We'll do something else. So this is going to take a while, this clutch wheel. High of 54 tomorrow. Saturday is supposed to be a good day, hopefully. Dave's taking off. Thanks for your help, Dave. Thanks for coming to the live for a short minute. Everybody check out Dave's channel, Shop Time with Dave, if you want to see some cool machining stuff and tractor stuff. And it's mainly these edges of things that, inside these whatchamajiggies, these, I guess you could call them risers, or these cast towers that the clutch dogs are pinned to. It's kind of a process getting in all these nooks and crannies. And they're very rough cast too, so that doesn't help. But okay, let's see. Hans the tractor hoarder's here. Hans the tractor hoarder. How we doing, Hans? I think I'm just going to paint this whole inside lip. Just because. Now, unfortunately, the sandblast guy, he did sandblast the whole pulley. So we lost the patina on the face of it, but I'm gonna try and sand it, polish it so it's kind of a shiny finish, and just leave it like that. And hopefully it'll work. I am new here, but very proud that I just purchased the John Deere 730 diesel that my grandfather bought new. That's awesome. Welcome, Garrett. Welcome. Kenny, I didn't see a lot of John Deere D parts, but there weren't a lot of vendors, a lot of open spots. If you're there, you would have your Spidey sense activated. Oh, I will have my Spidey sense activated when I get there. Okay. I've got this thing on my plastic folding table. Hopefully it holds up. It should. It's plastic. That's durable, right? Plastic and cast iron. Yeah, it'll be fine. What could go wrong? Let's see. We have Great Grandpa's D17 Series 4. It's always been in the family since '66. Ben's coming now then. Hans is a maybe. Nolan will be there. Hyatt, I think, is coming to know them this year. Unless he changed his mind again to come to Rolog. It's the year of KSAT now then this year. So we got to make sure that Hyatt's tractor is in as good a running shape as we can get it. Been having an issue with not with the crank start, but starting it by cranking it. I've been having an issue. So we're going to have to get that figured out. Maybe the points are a little cloudy. Should probably check the points in it. Yeah, it has a brand new magneto in it, but it does sit outside, so wouldn't take much for the points to get a little messy. Okay. All right, Brent, thanks for stopping by, bud. Any parts that you might have to use the squash patina on to try and replicate the old paint? By the way, how does 5J1113 look in person? I haven't seen 5J1113 in person. This pulley, I might have to do some work on as far as patina. But like I said, I think I'm going to try and polish the surface of the belt pulley. If I can't, then I'll have to replicate some patina on it. And I already have some ideas on how I want to do that, because there really isn't much paint left on this tractor. So it wouldn't be the end of the world. But biggest thing is I want to get it all to match, all make it look the same, just like, the engine block and the cylinder head too. They have been cleaned completely off, so we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with that as far as patina goes. With how much stuff that I've cleaned up on this, it'd almost be easier to where's my paint rag? It'd almost be easier to just sandblast the whole tractor and paint it than to try and preserve it the way it is. I'm learning that as I go here. It's actually easier to do. The paint is definitely more expensive, because you'll have easily $1,000 to $2,000 in a good quality paint job just for the paint alone. So anybody been to Pickneyville? I've never been to Pickneyville. I'd like to find a VAC to take to now then. One of the guys in our group has a VAC. Did I ever get the club's SC running? Not yet. It's kind of something we're working on as a club, and I can't get my projects done if I'm always working on other people's. I did Connor's Super M. That took me the better part of 6 months, so I didn't get much done on anything of my own. Ugh. didn't get much done on anything of my own that winter. So it's nice to kind of be able to work on my own stuff for a change, you know. When you start doing stuff for other people all the time, it starts to become work, because it's not the stuff that you're doing is work. It makes it feel like work, because you know you have stuff that you want to do of your own, but you can't because your garage is full of somebody else's stuff. So I had a shop teacher back in high school that always told me, if find a job you love, but be careful if the job you love is your hobby, because eventually you might start to hate your hobby because you're doing it all the time, and it just becomes work. It loses the fun element, and it just becomes work. So some people can do that, but for me, the tractors is my escape. This is my therapy, especially being in the job that I'm in. I can have some pretty stressful days. So sorry if I'm missing a lot of your comments here. I'm in the zone. Trying to get the inside of this clutch pulley done. We're almost there. We're 2/3 of the way around. So after that, I'll take a break and focus on the chat for a bit. So if I missed your question, feel free to ask it again when I get this done. We have 2 more very large pieces to do, but we're not going to be running this thing tomorrow, so it's not like it's got to get done right this second. But I don't do a whole lot of this during my work week because I'm usually working double shifts or working with Rudy. So they're heavy. Rudy's cutting out early. He's got an early morning. Big day of the show, first day of the swap meet tomorrow. So Rudy, thanks for stopping by. Let's see. Hamilton Family Antique Tractors has 7 case tractors. Do you have any center exhaust case SC tractors? Because I have a Facebook group and a registry that I've been keeping for a long time, the better part of 20 years, because I'm trying to track all of the center exhaust SCs that are left in existence, because there's only 2,388 of them built. So if I can try to get the rest of them on paper, we can try to figure out how many are left. And I've probably got about 150 documented. So pretty cool, I'm kind of into that stuff. Numbers and production and whatever else. It's not going to be perfect, but it's inside the clutch pulley anyways, so it really doesn't Really doesn't have to be. Oh, man. Whoa, this doesn't make it easy. Oh, it's heavy. Lee would like to meet Squatch because he never shows up at Rick's party. Well, he's an elusive creature. He's a hard person to nail down sometimes. I think that's why he chose the term Squatch. He's kind of an enigma. Okay. Okay. Bumping into him at shows since 2017. Yeah, he can be found. He's got to be in the right place at the right time, I think. Some of this stuff you just got to hold the brush kind of like a toddler and just kind of goop it in at first and then spread it around as best you can. But like I said, I've had this quart of Glitol since we started the H project. So really can't complain as far as longevity and everything else. This stuff goes a long way. Okay, almost done with the inside. This is the tedious side of the clutch pulley. On this cast, this last bit here, the cast is pretty rough. So I like to dab it on and then spread the excess. Dabbing it kind of gets it in the porous pieces of the cast, so. There we go. Okay. That side of the pulley is done. Oh, we got time for the other side. And there's barely anything there. No, I don't. What? Wish I did. Looked at a center exhaust SC at an auction several years ago. Wish I could have got it, but a week before I spent all my extra tractor money to buy my cross motor. Well, cross motor, I'd rather have probably a cross motor, but this is my grandpa's tractor, so there's not a cross motor on the planet that's going to replace my grandpa's tractor. So there. Kenny, what is involved converting a crank start tractor to electric start? Well, for yours, you just have to find the right starter. We'd have to pull. There's a factory plug where the where the starter would go. And we'd have to determine on whether or not your flywheel has a ring gear on it. If it doesn't have a ring gear, then we would have to find a different flywheel or have a ring gear installed if it's something we can do. And then just battery and starter button and ignition. Well, you wouldn't even need an ignition switch because your magneto has a advanced retard manual mechanism that you can actually shut the tractor off using the advanced retard lever. So wouldn't take much. Just checking things over to see if it's got the necessary equipment like the flywheel and ring gear. And once that's done, then yeah, it's pretty simple. Let's see. Might have finally tracked down Logan or Grandpa's 806. That's pretty awesome news. That is pretty awesome news. I'm not too worried if I get a little bit of Gliptol on the face of this because we are going to be shining this up with a Scotch-Brite pad on the angle grinder anyway. The little pneumatic angle grinder. So gotta go. Bryce is on the way to bed. Want to be in the lot before traffic gets nuts. Yeah, Saturday is probably going to be even worse, even with the weather being questionable. We have a possibility of it being a decent day Saturday, but I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch. You know what I mean? Okay, now we can stand this thing up on end. And we'll just work our way around and paint the inside lip. Stuff's getting kind of clumpy. The lid must not be sealing as well as it was when it was new. All right, Logan's taking off. Thanks for not Logan. Sorry, Nolan. Nolan's taking off. Logan was right underneath him, so my mistake. Thanks for stopping by, Nolan. Sorry to hear about your other channel, but sometimes the tubes that is you can be goofy that way. Okay. Ben's taking off too. He's had a long day. Hopefully he can make some progress on that 800 and that Model DC. Well, I'm almost halfway around the lip here, so I like big flat surfaces because you can just kind of gob it on at first and then spread it. Just rotate. One more time. There we go. Now we can really see the surface we're working on. Hunting and stuff is here. All right. A little chunk of junk. Chunk of junk. Not much left. Almost done with the clutch pulley. Sorry, I know you guys are bouncing, but I'm dabbing it in this area here. There's some rust pitting, so. In order to get it in those pits, you got to dab. Okay. I think that does it for the clutch pulley. You guys want to see? There you go. Here's the front side. That's heavy. And this is the clutch driver. So we're just going to finish this one quick. And then we'll be done. We can't not finish it because we already did the one side, so we got to do the other side. Hamilton's taking off. Early morning for him too. Thanks for stopping by, man. Welcome to the channel too. Hopefully you stick around and enjoy. Sorry, I'm preoccupied with this system here. Hey, I could be painting these other two pieces, which are going to be very time consuming because they're just large pieces. So be thankful I'm only doing this one. Going to try and start my Ferguson TO20 for the first time after full teardown. Ooh, that's exciting. Heck yeah. I always like to give the disclaimer if it runs, because I've known this long enough. I don't ever trust anything to start the first time, and it's always a surprise to me that it does start, which to most people would signal the sign of a pure amateur, and that's what I consider myself, as purely an amateur. But other people tell me otherwise, and I try to tell them I'm not a professional by any means. I just get lucky, and I try to do things to the best of my ability and the best of the knowledge that I have at the time. I think that's all anybody can do, but I don't think you're ever truly an expert in this field because there's always something to learn. There's so many different machines, and you could, just when you think you knew everything about something, you learn something new, which to me is very fascinating. Never too old to learn. Attention to detail here. Attention to detail. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit. And I'm using this clutch driver because the other one was cracked. Pretty much made the decision for me. Not much left of that can, but there's the clutch driver. There you go. There it is. Okay. The other two pieces are too big to do with you guys. So here we go. Burning questions. Ask away. Last night, all Rick did was put labels on bolt bins. Hey, that's being productive, Well, hopefully, Gus, hopefully that TO20 fires right up for you. So the good news is I think the clutch can go back together. And I know that the clutch fork is on its way back from Missouri, Ohio. I can't remember where Mark is from. Ohio? No, Missouri. He's from Missouri. So that is in the mail on its way back. So when we get that back, we can coat whatever pieces with Clip Tall and we can see his handiwork. He sent me a lot of photographs of the work that he did, and he did a lot of work. And we'll kind of go through it and break down the work that he did on it when it gets here. When I started my M for the first time, I had the throttle stick wide open. Yeah, I've had stories of that happening to me too. Kind of throws you for a loop. Gus, try and start. TO20, I think I think that's from the 50s, isn't it? I don't know. I can't remember. Gosh, these pieces are just staring me in the face now. Oh boy. Clutch is going to look good though. Anyway, where are we at? I'm making good progress on the D. I'm trying. You know, with building the pole barn, I'm not sure if we're going to get the D done this year or not. I really hope so, but we won't know until we do. So my plan was to have it done for roll log, but I'm not sure if we will or not. Just because I got to get with this new payment coming for the pole barn, I got to get comfortable with that before I start throwing more money at the D. Because believe it or not, it still needs quite a bit of money thrown at it. Probably at least $1,000 worth. So, got to get comfortable taking care of the bills before that stuff comes back into light. So, I still got plenty that I can do, as far as getting ready. But as buying parts, like we got to get a manifold, we need a fuel tank, or we need to fix the fuel tank we have. The carburetor, I have that off at a friend's place. He's going to see if he can weld a couple of repairs in and remachine an area. So, we got to find the correct air cleaner, which isn't the end of the world as far as having it running, but we do have to find the right one. You're right about that old stuff. I'm 72 and doing my second tractor. I'm learning a lot. Thanks for the encouragement. Absolutely. I mean, we never stop learning. That's just the way it is. Wasn't Massey Harris going the same time as Ferguson? I thought so, and then they merged and became Massey Ferguson, I thought. I could very well be wrong. And for those of you guys that are wondering about the M, there will be an update video, a final video, but we actually have to deliver it to the new owners. So when we do the delivery, we'll make a final video. So never too old to learn. John Orwell, I have a gas tank for Unstyle D, but can't remember what year exactly it was. I can send pictures. Yeah, send me pictures. There's three fuel tanks that I know of for the Unstyle D. So there's the later Unstyle D that has the two separate fuel tanks. Kind of the gasoline starting tank is piggybacked on the back of the main tank. The early Unstyle D, I think 24 to 28 or 23 technically to 28. They had a shallow fuel tank, and then late 28 and on, they changed the depth of the fuel tank. So, and my hood only works with the shallow fuel tank. Yeah, Massey Harris and Ferguson merged in 1953. I thought they had merged pretty early on. Charles is in the house. Kenny, have you been back to Buer's Tractor Salvage since you picked up the M? How far is Buer's from now then? I've been back there a few times since I picked up the M. From now then, it's probably a good 3 hours, I want to say. 3 hours. Probably a safe bet. John's going to send pictures this weekend. Perfect. Sorry. And again, it always happens. Always happens while you're filming or while you're doing live streams, or not that it doesn't, doesn't really bother me. It's part of being connected to your phone, I guess, but I'm just cleaning out the brushes that I used. Soaked them in thinner, and then kind of swirl them around on a towel to get whatever paint that's in there out. Just like that. Charles said he made a live for a change. I'll have to go rewatch that. Man, that's going to be a pretty tough one to seal up, I think. But we'll make it work. We'll make it work. No problem. Just looking, I got the top tank for the radiator here and then the first reduction gear cover. So those are the next two pieces to be painted. We'll see how we're doing at 10 o'clock here. See if there's anything I missed that I can answer quickly if I skim through it. I'd probably spend more time making the inside of the tractors look new than the outside. I still do new paint. Yeah. I hear that. Cub restoration's in limbo. Waiting on machine shop, but it hasn't been a month yet. Pretty much have everything stripped, primed, and painted. Just finished stripping the hood and gas tank. Oh man, you're moving along on that thing. That was from Bob. Just trying to get caught up and seeing if I missed any questions. DC's all tore apart. Block is warped. Connecting rod bearings are shot. Mains could use replacing. Crankshaft needs ground. Oh, that's pretty much what the D was like. Yeah, sometimes it's just easier to do it the first time. I don't think I missed too much. Did you say you need about another $1,000 to finish your D? I'm just throwing a number at it, but that's probably I would say an at least figure. The manifolds, they're $350, $400, depending on what shipping costs. I probably have another $200 worth of gaskets to buy. I would make them, but I don't have anything to go off of for thicknesses, so I don't know what thickness to make the gaskets out of. There's nothing in the book. The parts books for these are very archaic and do not have a ton of very descriptive things in them. So I would say $1,000 is probably a conservative guess. I mean, an air cleaner can run over $500 itself, the right air cleaner for it. But if I can't find an air cleaner, I'm just going to put a clamp on filter on it. So probably about your bedtime. It might be tough to get up for work in the morning. Me? I don't work tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. Ryan is in the house. How we doing, Ryan? It's like I got a curtain behind me. Like, well, I guess I do have a curtain behind me, but like a stage curtain. Man, I'm going like this all the time. I'm usually up 5 a.m. till midnight. I know you're underway with your barn, but do you still plan to insulate your garage and add heat? Okay, yes. So since Hyatt asked this question, here's my plan for the barn. Right now, it's just for storage to keep tractors inside. It's not going to have a floor. It's not going to have electric. It's not going to have heat. None of that right now. So once the barn is done, I don't think it's going to happen this winter. We'll see. But for sure by next winter, meaning the winter of 25 going into 26, I want to have the garage attached to the house. I want to have that insulated, sheetrocked, and heat so that that can serve as the heated workshop. And then the barn, when I can get the funds to do concrete and electric, and eventually I'd like to put heat in it. When that's kind of the last thing is getting the barn done. So if I can have a small heated workshop, plus it's cheaper. Why wouldn't I heat a smaller space to work on the one project at a time, or maybe two? But ideally, I'd like to park my vehicle inside because I never have in my life. So it'd be nice to not have to brush the snow off my vehicle. But the garage on the house would be the heated workshop. It's smaller, it's more efficient, and then eventually we'll work on getting concrete, electric, and probably heat in the big shop. But right now it's just for storage, and that's going to be for at least a couple years probably. No floor or nothing, just a building. So that's the plan. But you know how life is, and especially having a kid, you never know what they're going to get into as far as hobbies or interests. If she wants to try riding horses, that's a very expensive hobby. And then if she wants to continue on with dance and be in competition dance, that's expensive. So you never know. So I'd say the wife would be happy to park inside for a change. Well, she does park inside. David Brown from Tacoma, Washington. How you doing? Now, I will put this disclaimer out there. I don't have to work in the morning, but I do have to be up early with Raylan. So there's that. So we'll see about how we feel at 10 o'clock. I know some people are on the East Coast, so it's 11 o'clock there. I did just get another shipment of hats too. I don't know if anybody's interested in the hats, but if you are, you can email me at kenny.kizzle@yahoo.com and we can, here, I'll put the email address here. If you are interested in a hat, I just put my email link there. You can email me with the color you're interested in. I have a variety of colors. You know, most major tractor brands I have. Then this neutral, green, and khaki. This is the by far been the most popular hat. I have some gray and charcoal or gray and black hats. I have some camouflage patterns. So with the addition of the Cub, is that 15 tractors at Rusty Nuts? I believe it's 14. I believe the total is 14. But there's also 2 international engines, a John Deere E engine, and a little Maytag engine. So there's 4 small engines here as well. So yeah, we have plenty of projects lined up for the next 18 years at least. You know, if I do 1 tractor a year, that's plenty. See if I can pull up the picture of the Model D in the driveway. So this is what we got going on in the driveway right now. That white foam is oven cleaner. I've sprayed it down twice now, and I'm going to let it soak overnight before we pressure wash it again. I'm trying to get all the grease out of it that I can before we bring it to sandblast. So, but you can see there's quite a bit of the original green on the side of it. Here, I'll put it up again so you guys can see. But up in this area here, there's green. In this area, there's green. And then all along the front of the crankcase, which is this portion, there's a bunch of green there too. It's not showing up that well on the screen that you guys can see, but it's there. Just trust me, it's there. How many of the 14 tractors run? 11. The John Deere D doesn't run yet. The John Deere 60 we just got, and that's stuck. And then the Case SC from the club tractor, we haven't gotten that running yet. We're close though. Since I bought one of those big wheel off-road jacks from Harbor Freight. Do a lot more in my dirt floor shed. Very handy. Big wheel off-road jacks. Big wheel off-road jack. Let me Google that. Three-ton off-road jack. Huh. Well, would you look at that? It's kind of neat. Kind of expensive. Kind of neat. Huh. Neat. Here, I'll put the link here so everybody else can. They're pretty big. They kind of look like like small wagon wheels, I guess. Like off a radial flyer, only they're wider and they have like an off-road tread on them. Well, it's 10 o'clock. I'm not sure how everybody else is feeling. Too bad you can't send pictures over this. Anyhow, how's everybody feeling? You want to keep this thing going? Yeah, it's an interesting jack, that's for sure. Hyatt says, let's go one more hour. I don't think I have another hour in me. Gus says, might as well start on the radiator tank. Well, you guys want to see a big radiator tank. Here you go. There you go. So just to give you guys some reference, that's a big radiator tank. I mean, I have a 50-inch chest, so. Bob says he's going to call it a night. Yeah, that tank is huge. That's just the radiator tank. Then you have your, here, I'll grab another piece. Oh. This is the first reduction gear cover. Oh. First reduction gear cover. So yeah, they're big pieces. The rear case, I would say, is probably, I would say it's the size of a two-person, like an old school clawfoot tub. It's big. We could have an all-nighter tractor talk session with those kids' parts. That's a gasket you don't want to have to build. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I want to order them. They're not even that expensive, you know. I mean, to make one, I've already looked at some sheets of bulk material, and it was 3 foot wide by 10 yards long, I think, which is way more than I would need for. I mean, you'll use it, but it was $100 for a roll of gasket material, where I can buy, you know, the first reduction. I can buy half the gaskets that I need, and there'll be the right thickness. And this was just one thickness of gasket material, so that's part of the reason I want to just buy the ones that I need. So Yeah, I got you, Gus. Those parts. I built one for my bee. What a pain. Yeah, it can be. There's a Case Tractor toolbox for sale on eBay. The toolbox has the serial plate on it, which I don't think was there originally. Last I saw it was going for 125. That's probably off of. Does it say what model it's off of, or what does the serial number start with? Where did I find the gasket? Olson's Gaskets. They'll pretty much make whatever gasket you need. All they have to know is, you know, dimensions and things like that. But if it's an odd gasket like that, because it's a John Deere, I think that's one of the reasons why they have them already made. So, yep, Olson's Gasket. Here, I'll send you a link. They do all kinds of gaskets. Oops. Old cars, trucks, tractors, engines. They do all kinds of them. So now you guys got me looking at these like I should paint more. I'm gonna have to open up the other can of Gliptol though. That radiator would take a while because, well, they're both gonna take a while because they got a lot of nooks and crannies. But primary cover, or primary first reduction gear cover. That would probably be quicker because it doesn't have as much pitting. The radiator tank has a lot of pitting, so I'd have to do a lot of dabbing with the brush. What does John Deere still have for parts? Case still has a lot of NOS stuff. They have a lot of things like piston rings, some gaskets, some pins, like clevis pins like this. They have they definitely don't have valve springs or guides or valves. That I had to get through H&J machining. And if you're somebody who does a lot of early prairie tractors like Rumleys or the early John Deeres, early McCormicks, a lot of those they have valves and guides for. So H&J machining, I should probably give a link for that too. Most of my NOS stuff came from guys I found online on Facebook. Hans, the guy that I did the John Deere D collection tour with, he has a ton of NOS stuff, and if he doesn't have it, he knows somebody that does. So yeah, you can find new old stock stuff at Case IH for letter series Farmall still. I ordered the radiator core from a guy, and he did the gaskets for that. Yep, I ordered my radiator core and gaskets and bolt kit all from the same place. So John Deere doesn't even have very many parts for 620s and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty limited. Gaskets and piston rings, that's probably about it. They don't carry much of that old stuff anymore because they want people to buy the newer, like the 1025Rs and the newer compact tractors and subcompact tractors, so they don't carry a lot of the old stuff anymore because there's the guys like me are the ones buying it that we're just doing this for fun. We're not farming with it, so we'll never rebuild a tractor again because we don't use them. They're going to just be ran and put away. Changing the subject. When you drove the Cub around the fire pit, I noticed rocks along the edge. Did you incorporate those yourself or were they already there? Nope, those were already there. The owner of this house before me spent a lot of money on landscaping, and then she traveled a lot for work. So a lot of the landscaping, as far as upkeep goes, was pretty overgrown. So when I moved in, we tore all of that stuff out as far as the shrubs and flowers and everything. And there was rock everywhere that had so much moss and everything grown over the top of it. I dug all that rock out, and we laid down mulch instead of rock, and then planted all hostas and pretty maintenance free types of plants. So it's it looks pretty good now. It could probably use another layer of mulch, and then I'd like to rebuild my deck too, because that's getting kind of over seasoned, if you will. But the deck also doesn't have any stairs, which is kind of a pain. If you have your shoes on, it's really not that big of a deal because I have hardwood almost everywhere. But I try to keep the house pretty clean, aside from all the tractor parts in the basement. But it's kind of a pain if you're doing something upstairs on the deck and you want to come down to the patio. You have to go through the house to go down to the patio. I'd like to just go down the stairs from the deck to the patio. So there's projects other than tractors that I have up here too. It just haven't done them yet. So yeah, always the wheels are always turning up here. Always got something going. I still haven't finished the playhouse yet. I want to finish out the inside and put bunks in it so that my daughter and I can have campouts and stuff out there. Do I miss New Paris tractor? I think everybody misses New Paris tractor. you know. Yeah, they did. They were great ambassadors of the hobby as far as getting people the parts they need and having pretty fair prices, and yeah, they were a good company. Definitely want to see a video of the playhouse. I'll get on that. I'll need some fillers here when I run out of stuff to paint with Gliptol. So, but there's no shortage of that on anything. So, about all we have left for teardowns is the rear axle housings and axles. Take those apart, clean them, and they're filthy. And then check the bearings over and see which ones we can use the bearings out of. So I ordered a used part from them, and they must not have had it left, but they sent me a new one for the used price. See, now that's a good company. Okay, I'm thinking 10:20, so 7 minutes. I'm going to have to call her a day. I can feel my eyes getting heavy. They were all John Deere. Yeah, I think for the most part. They might have sold some other stuff, but I think John Deere was kind of their mainstream brand. Beavers is a good place too. Beavers Tractor Salvage. They got all brands, but they do. They have quite the quite an impressive salvage yard. Detweiler's makes some things for the earlier tractors. I think they still have some sheet metal that they have made. They make spoker flywheels. They make nickel hole flywheels. They make the fan clutch discs, the aluminum or pot metal discs. Beavers. It's spelled Bewers, but it's pronounced Beavers. And they have a pretty extensive network. If they don't have it, they can find it or know somebody that has it. So not much else going on here. We got the Cub. We got to figure out the carburetor issues on that, which will be easy. I'm sure it's a float issue or a needle and seat issue. The John Deere 60, that's so far out back on the back burner. I got a new manifold and exhaust pipe for it, but I'm not even with the pole barn going on and trying to get the D done and get the carburetor fixed on the Cub, and I'm not even worried about the 60 right now. So does anyone have any idea where I could find a cylinder head for a Farmall MD? I think you can buy them new, but I want to say they're like $1,500. Finding a good used one might be difficult just because they're very prone to cracking. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there's anything I can find here. Maybe you can't get them new anymore. You used to be able to, I thought. They weren't cheap though. I know gas engines you can get a new one for. You could try sending it to the place in Iowa that Squatch sends his stuff. Midwest Cylinder Head and Machine. They're in Nevada, Iowa. Yeah, tractor restoration is definitely not for the faint of heart. I mean, anybody can get something running, but if you want to really go through it, rebuild it, redo it, it's expensive. So Beavers is quite the place. It's they got everything from prairie tractors to farmall cubs, lawn tractors. Steve Farms says, I have a question about a farmall H. Go ahead, Steve. This will be my final question of the evening. And then we're going to sign off. Let's see if there's a link for. Just finding out some interesting information. So, Midwest Cylinder Head Machine was bought out by Arnold's, and the former owner now runs a small shop in Cambridge, Iowa. Rex is the former owner of Midwest Cylinder Head and is now doing some head welding and machine work out of Cambridge. The name is Shell Welding, Schell Welding, and the phone number is 515-383-4830. Rex also has a website for another business he is running, and I click on the link and it's not active. So that's where we're at. It won't respond to the throttle. I would be willing to bet that you didn't get the tab on the governor rod lined up with the throttle shaft and the carburetor. There's a little tab that comes off the throttle rod from the governor that has to align with a notch in the throttle shaft in the carburetor where that carburetor bolts to the that tube that goes to the governor. There's a small shaft in there that has a tab, and that tab has to go in a notch in the throttle shaft so that it will turn it. And if you don't have any throttle response, I would be willing to bet that that is part of the problem, or that tube, you can actually adjust that tube, up and down. There's two screws where it connects to the governor. You can loosen those screws and you can actually slide that tube up and down, and that will better align the carburetor with it. That would be my guess. Either that tab isn't in alignment or that carburetor is putting a little bit of an angle on that tube and it's causing that rod to bind and it's not turning like it should be. Because if the throttle plate and throttle shaft moves smoothly without any attachment, then there's an issue somewhere between the governor and the carburetor. And that's the only place it can be is in that tube with the governor rod or that notch in the throttle. So double check those things. That notch can sometimes be a bugger. So with that, I'm going to call it a night, I think. I'm pretty tired, so. And I want to try and get this John Deere D rear tub to sandblast in the morning. So that way we can get it back here, do the Gliptol, and maybe start putting pieces back in it. So that's going to be it for me. Sorry I spent the first 45 minutes painting, but it was stuff that needed to get done. So I appreciate you guys being patient, and it'll all make sense when we start putting this thing together. So, all right. Hans from Tractor Hoarders, take care. Don't be a stranger now. Hyatt, we'll talk to you later. Lee, Steve, Hunting and Stuff. And Gus, if you're still here, everybody take care. Charlie, take care. And we're done.